The Deep Space Monitoring Station hummed quietly in the darkness of space. Its crystalline structure reflected the distant starlight, making it almost invisible against the backdrop of endless stars. Inside, First Scout Red stood at his post, his 4 eyes fixed on the detection screens that hadn't shown anything interesting in over 3 cycles. The calm of his watch shattered when a warning light flashed across his primary display. Red's upper eyes widened while his lower pair focused on the data streaming in. The energy signature was unlike anything in their database, and it was powerful, far too powerful to ignore. "Control, this is Observation Post 7. Red spoke into his communication crystal, trying to keep his voice steady. "We have an unknown vessel entering Sector 88 Alpha. Energy readings are unusual." The response came quickly. "Clarify unusual, observer." Red's fingers danced across the crystal controls, enhancing the scans. "The power output suggests advanced technology, but the signature doesn't match any known species in our records." He paused, running a deeper analysis. His heart nearly stopped when the results appeared. "Control, preliminary analysis suggests it's a human vessel." The silence that followed felt heavier than a gravitational collapse. Everyone in the station had heard of humans. They were the stuff of nightmares, creatures from a death world, who had somehow not only survived but thrived in conditions that would kill most sentient species. Their entertainment broadcasts, intercepted by long-range arrays, showed them simulating warfare for fun. They called it gaming. "Confirm your last statement, observer," Control demanded, their voice tight with tension. Red ran the scans again, his hands shaking slightly. "Confirmed. The energy signature matches what we've decoded from human transmission intercepts. It's definitely one of their warships." He enhanced the visual feed, and the image made his breath catch. "The vessel is massive, at least twice the size of our largest ships." The station's alert status shifted from green to red. Warning lights bathed the crystalline corridors in crimson light as the emergency protocols activated. Red could hear the rising pitch of the station's defense systems coming online, though he knew they would be useless if the humans decided to attack. He thought back to the briefing he had attended just last cycle. The military intelligence officer had shown them intercepted human broadcasts, their movies and documentaries. They had watched in horror as humans casually discussed surviving in environments that would kill most species instantly. They had seen humans continuing to fight even after sustaining injuries that should have been fatal. The intelligence officer had called them persistence predators. "All observation posts, this is Control," the announcement echoed through the station. "Begin emergency broadcast to all collective defense fleet vessels. Priority 1 alert. I repeat, Priority 1 alert." Red's hands moved automatically, initiating the broadcast sequence. As he worked, he kept one eye pair on the human vessel. It moved with a precision that seemed impossible for its size, its course steady and deliberate. There was no attempt at stealth, no evasive maneuvers. It was as if they didn't care who saw them coming. The emergency message began broadcasting on all frequencies. "Warning to all collective vessels. Human warship detected in Sector 88 Alpha. This is not a drill. Repeat. Human warship in Sector 88 Alpha. All military vessels respond. All civilian ships evacuate immediately." As the message repeated across space, Red noticed something that made his skin pale to a lighter shade of blue. The human ship's course wasn't random. It was heading directly for the collective's central worlds. But why? Why would they reveal themselves now, after all these cycles of knowing about them only through their broadcasts? Red added his observational data to the emergency broadcast, including everything from power readings to trajectory calculations. He knew that somewhere, the collective's war council would be assembling, preparing to face what might be the greatest threat they had ever encountered. As his shift drew to a close, Red couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The comfortable isolation of the collective was ending. The humans had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. He only hoped they were ready for what was coming. The War Council chamber of the collective buzzed with nervous energy as Admiral Blue studied the holographic display of the human warship. His scales shifted color slightly, betraying his anxiety despite his effort to maintain a calm appearance. Around the crystal table, 12 other council members watched the vessel's steady progress through their space. "Show me the intercepted broadcasts again," Admiral Blue ordered, his voice steady despite his concerns. The display shifted, showing clips of human entertainment signals they had gathered over the years. Images of their wars, their sports, their survival shows, each one more terrifying than the last. "As you can see," the intelligence officer explained, pointing to various scenes, "humans regularly expose themselves to extreme conditions for what they call entertainment. They willingly jump from high places, dive into deep waters, and fight each other in organized competitions." One of the council members, an elderly general, slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot allow them to reach the central worlds. We should strike now, while we have the advantage of numbers." Admiral Blue raised his hand for silence. The room quieted immediately. "We've detected only one vessel, but everything we know about humans suggests they never travel alone. There could be more ships waiting to jump in." At the far end of the table, Second Shield Green, the youngest member of the council, cleared his throat. "Admiral, if I may speak." At Blue's nod, he continued, "We're basing all our assumptions on entertainment broadcasts. What if we're misinterpreting their intentions?" The room erupted in dismissive chattering, but Blue's curiosity was piqued. "Explain your reasoning, Second Shield." Green stood, his scales slightly pale from nervousness, but his voice clear. "These broadcasts we've intercepted, they show humans fighting, yes, but they also show them making peace, helping each other, celebrating together. What if this single ship is meant to be diplomatic?" Laughter echoed through the chamber, but Blue didn't join in. He had watched those same broadcasts, and the young officer had a point. Humans were certainly capable of violence, but they also display remarkable restraint and cooperation within their own species. Still, they couldn't take the risk. "Prepare the defense fleet," Blue commanded. "We'll send 50 ships to intercept the human vessel. Enough to show our strength, but not so many as to appear overtly hostile." The council members nodded in agreement, but Green spoke up again. "Admiral, if I may suggest, perhaps we should prepare a greeting message as well, in case my theory is correct." Blue considered this for a moment. "Approved. Prepare both combat formations and first contact protocols. We'll be ready for either outcome." As the council chamber emptied, Blue watched the tactical display. The human ship maintained its steady course, making no attempt to hide or evade detection. Its behavior didn't match that of an invasion force, but they couldn't take chances. Within hours, the defense fleet assembled. 50 of their finest ships, their crystalline hulls gleaming in the starlight, moved into formation. Blue stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as his fleet took position to intercept the human vessel. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're detecting increased energy readings from the human ship." Blue tensed, expecting weapon systems to come online. Instead, the readings suggested they were powering up their communication array. Perhaps Second Shield Green's assessment wasn't so far-fetched after all. "All ships, maintain formation, but do not power weapons," Blue ordered. "Let's see what they do next." He turned to his communications officer. "Is the greeting message ready?" "Yes, Admiral. Translated into every language we've detected in their broadcasts." Blue nodded, his scales shifting to a more neutral color as he considered their options. They were about to make first contact with a species that could survive conditions that would kill his people instantly. A species that had somehow turned a death world into a thriving civilization. As his fleet moved into position, Blue couldn't help but wonder, were they about to make first contact, or were they about to start a war? Either way, This moment would change the collective forever. On the bridge of the HMS Prometheus, Captain Jack Stone watched the alien fleet appear on their long-range sensors. He smiled slightly as his crew maintained their calm, professional demeanor despite this being humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. "They're forming a containment pattern, sir," reported his tactical officer, Tom. 50 ships, arranged in a sphere around our position. Their weapons aren't powered up yet, but their shields are at maximum. Stone nodded, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. The massive view screen showed the crystalline alien vessels glinting in the starlight. They were beautiful, in their own way. "Have they received our greeting message?" "Yes, sir. We're broadcasting on all frequencies, using the standard first contact package." Still no response. The bridge crew watched as the alien fleet completed their formation. The Prometheus could have easily evaded them. Their ship was faster and more maneuverable than it looked. But that wasn't why they were here. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet. It appears to be a demand for surrender." Stone chuckled softly. "Put it on screen." The message appeared, translated by their computers. The alien admiral's words were formal and carried a clear threat: surrender or be destroyed. But Stone noticed something interesting. They were broadcasting in multiple formats, including some they'd pulled from Earth's entertainment broadcasts. "They've been watching our TV shows," Stone mused aloud. "No wonder they're nervous. Half of what they know about us probably comes from action movies." He stood from his captain's chair, straightening his uniform. "Let's show them the other half. Power down all weapons systems." His tactical officer's eyes widened. "Sir, with 50 alien ships surrounding us." "That's an order, Tom. Power down everything except shields. And those will keep at minimum strength, just enough to show we're not completely naive." Stone smiled again. Sometimes the best way to show strength is to show trust. The crew followed his orders, though some looked nervous. The Prometheus's weapon systems went dark, and their shields dropped to minimal power. On their sensors, they could see the alien fleet's confusion reflected in their shifting formations. "Send them this message," Stone commanded. "Admiral of the alien fleet, this is Captain Jack Stone of the Earth ship Prometheus. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. To prove our intentions, we have powered down our weapons. We would be honored if you would join us aboard our vessel for refreshments and peaceful discussion. We have facilities suitable for most known forms of life, and we promise your safety while aboard." The bridge fell silent as they waited for a response. Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours. "Sir," Tom spoke up, "I should mention that even with their superior numbers, our analysis shows we could probably fight our way out if we had to. Their technology, while advanced, isn't as combat-oriented as ours." Stone nodded. "Exactly why we won't fight unless absolutely necessary. They need to know we're choosing peace, not being forced into it." The communications officer suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, we're receiving a response." The alien admiral's message was cautious but intrigued. They had clearly expected either an attack or an attempt to flee. The offer of peaceful discussion had caught them off guard. "They're asking about our mention of refreshments, sir," the communications officer reported. "The translator is having trouble with the concept." Stone laughed. "Tell them it's a human custom to share food and drink while discussing important matters. Mention that we have facilities to analyze any refreshments for compatibility with their biology, and they're welcome to bring their own if they prefer." As the message was sent, Stone watched the alien fleet on the view screen. Their formation had relaxed slightly, though they maintained their containment pattern. It was a start. "Prepare the diplomatic reception room," Stone ordered, "and have the kitchen prepare tea. If we're going to have humanity's first diplomatic meeting with an alien species, we might as well do it properly." The bridge crew smiled at their captain's casual confidence. They had trained for combat scenarios, but this, making history through peaceful contact, was even better. Admiral Blue stood in the airlock chamber of the Prometheus, his scales shifting between shades of blue and green as his environmental suit adjusted to the human atmosphere. Behind him, Second Shield Green and two other council members waited nervously. Despite the humans' peaceful gestures, they all felt uneasy boarding a ship belonging to a species known for surviving extreme conditions. The inner door opened with a soft hiss. Captain Stone stood waiting, wearing what he had called a dress uniform. Behind him, several human crew members stood at attention. None of them wore protective gear, which made the alien delegation even more conscious of their own bulky environmental suits. "Welcome aboard the Prometheus," Stone said, his translator converting his words into the musical language of the collective. "We're honored by your presence." He made a slight bow, a gesture their cultural research team had suggested would be recognized as respectful. Blue found himself impressed despite his caution. The humans had clearly studied their transmissions carefully. "We accept your welcome," he replied formally. "Though I must admit, we are surprised by your approach to first contact." Stone smiled, and Blue's translator struggled to interpret the facial expression. "Please, follow me to our diplomatic reception room. We can talk more comfortably there." As they walked through the ship's corridors, Blue and his team couldn't help but notice the differences between their vessels. Where their ships were grown from living crystals, smooth and flowing, the human ship was clearly built from metal and composite materials. Yet it had its own kind of beauty, clean lines and efficient design that spoke of centuries of engineering. The reception room was large and well-lit, with a table set with various containers and vessels. Stone gestured to the specially designed chairs they had prepared for their alien guests. "What you see before you is a tradition we call tea service," Stone explained as they sat. "It's a diplomatic custom that goes back centuries on Earth. The drinking of tea together symbolizes peaceful intentions and respect." Green leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overcoming his caution. "You consume liquid for diplomatic purposes." Stone laughed softly. "We consume it for many purposes: pleasure, comfort, tradition. But don't worry, we've prepared special refreshments that our systems confirm are safe for your biology." As they settled in, Blue decided to address the matter directly. "Captain Stone, I must ask, why did you come here? And why alone? Our intelligence suggests humans never travel without significant military support." Stone nodded, taking the sip from his cup. "A fair question. We came alone precisely because we didn't want to appear threatening. We know you've been receiving our broadcasts, though you're probably having trouble separating our entertainment from our reality." Blue's scales shifted in embarrassment. "We have found your broadcasts concerning. Your species seems to thrive on conflict and danger." "Ah," Stone smiled again. "You've been watching our action movies and survival shows. But have you seen our documentaries about space exploration, our scientific achievements, our art?" The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Green spoke up. "We focused our analysis on understanding your military capabilities. For defense purposes." "Understandable," Stone replied. "But humans are complex. Yes, we evolved on what you'd call a death world. Yes, we can survive extreme conditions. And yes, we know how to fight. But we prefer to make friends rather than enemies." Just then, an alarm blared through the ship. Stone's communication device activated immediately. "Captain, one of the alien vessels is powering up weapons. They're not responding to hails." Blue's scales paled. "That's impossible," I ordered. "It's Commander White's ship," Green interrupted. "He was against this meeting. He thinks we're being deceived." Stone remained surprisingly calm. "How would you like to handle this, Admiral Blue? This is your jurisdiction." Blue stared at the human captain in shock. Here they were, facing a potential attack, and the humans were asking them how to proceed. It went against everything they thought they knew about this warrior species. "Can your weapons disable his ship without destroying it?" Blue asked cautiously. Stone nodded. "Easily, but I'd rather have your permission first. This is still your space, after all." In that moment, Blue understood something profound about humans. They weren't just warriors who had survived a harsh world. They were a species that had learned to balance strength with wisdom and power with restraint. Commander White's crystalline warship broke formation, its weapons powering up to full capacity. The ship's hull pulsed with angry red energy as it moved into attack position. On the Prometheus's bridge, where both human and alien leaders had rushed after the alarm, multiple screens showed the rogue vessel's approach. Last warning to Commander White. Admiral Blue transmitted, his voice stern. Stand down immediately. This is a direct order. The response came back filled with static and rage. You fool. These humans are predators. They're luring us into a trap with their talks of peace. White's ship launched a warning shot that passed close to the Prometheus's hull. Captain Stone watched calmly, his hands clasped behind his back. Tom. Analysis of their weapon capabilities. Sir, their energy weapons are powerful, but their targeting systems are slow. We could have destroyed them 3 times already, the tactical officer reported. Stone nodded, then turned to Admiral Blue. We have your permission to handle this without casualties. The alien admiral's scales rippled with mixed emotions. Yes, but how can you be so calm? He's about to attack your ship. Stone smiled slightly. Because we've already won. He just doesn't know it yet. He turned to his crew. Activate the shield modulators. Non-lethal response pattern Delta. What happened next left the alien delegation speechless. As White's ship fired its main weapon, the Prometheus's shields didn't just absorb the blast. They caught it, held it, and dispersed it in a spectacular display of light and energy. The human ship hadn't even moved. Impossible. Green whispered. Their shield technology is far beyond our estimates. Tom. Stone ordered. Disable their weapon systems. Precision strikes only. No hull damage. The Prometheus's response was surgical. Small, concentrated energy pulses hit specific points on White's ship, shutting down its weapons one by one. The rogue commander tried to evade, but the human ship's targeting was too quick, too precise. How? Blue started, then corrected himself. Why aren't you destroying him? Our tactical simulation showed humans always respond to aggression with overwhelming force. Stone turned to the alien admiral, his expression serious but kind. Because that's not who we really are. Yes, we can fight. Yes, we're good at it. But we learned long ago that true strength lies in showing restraint. On the screen, White's ship drifted powerless, all its weapons disabled but the vessel itself untouched. The alien commander's rage-filled transmissions had turned to confused silence. Besides, Stone continued, destroying one of your ships would be a poor way to begin diplomatic relations, don't you think? Blue's scales shifted to a deep blue of understanding. You could have done this at any time. Even when we surrounded you with 50 ships. You're beginning to understand. Stone nodded. We came here to make friends, not to conquer. Humanity has had enough of war. We learned from our own history that victory through peace is always better than victory through combat. Green moved closer to the tactical displays, studying the precision damage to White's ship. But your entertainment broadcasts, they show so much conflict, so much fighting. Because we learned to express those instincts through stories instead of actual warfare, Stone explained. We turned our aggressive past into entertainment, so we would never forget the cost of war, while building a future based on peace and cooperation. Admiral Blue straightened suddenly. That's why you let us surround you. Why you powered down your weapons. Why you invited us for tea. He spoke the unfamiliar word carefully. You were teaching us about your culture through actions, not just words. Stone smiled broadly. Exactly. And now that we've handled this small crisis together, perhaps we can return to our diplomatic discussion. I believe we were just starting to understand each other. As they walked back to the reception room, leaving White's ship to be towed back by its fellow vessels, Blue found himself reviewing everything he thought he knew about humans. They had expected savage warriors from a death world. Instead, they had found something far more interesting, a species that had taken their capacity for violence and transformed it into a tool for peace. The tea, still waiting in the reception room, had grown cold, but somehow that didn't seem to matter anymore. Back in the reception room, Captain Stone activated a holographic display that filled the center of the table. The alien delegation watched in fascination as three-dimensional images of Earth appeared, showing great cities, vast oceans, and towering mountains. "This is where we come from," Stone explained, zooming in on different locations. "What you call a death world, we call home. But it's not just a place of danger and survival. It's a world of incredible beauty and diversity." The images shifted to show Earth's varied ecosystems. Deserts where humans had built thriving cities, frozen peaks where they went for recreation, deep oceans they explored in submarines. Each scene made the alien leader's scales shift colors in amazement. "But how?" Green asked, leaning forward. "These conditions, any one of them should be lethal. Yet you not only survive, you seem to enjoy them." Stone nodded, changing the display to show human artists at work, scientists in laboratories, children playing in parks. "We adapted. But more than that, we learned to turn our survival instincts into something more. Our need to overcome challenges became curiosity. Our drive to fight became a desire to protect." Admiral Blue studied the images carefully. "Your cities, they're not all the same. Your people look different from each other, dress differently, live differently, yet you work together." "That's one of our greatest strengths," Stone replied. "Unity through diversity. We learned that different perspectives make us stronger. Just like now, we're different species, but that doesn't mean we can't work together, learn from each other." The hologram changed again, showing the history of human space exploration. From primitive rockets to modern starships, the images told a story of persistent advancement. "When we first reached space," Stone continued, "we thought we might find enemies. Our entertainment broadcasts that you've seen, they were partly born from that fear. But as we developed, we realized something important. The universe is too big for enemies. We need friends, allies, people to share it with." Green's scales turned a bright shade of interest. "Is that why your ship has such advanced weapons, yet you choose not to use them?" "As a precaution, but not a first choice." "Exactly," Stone smiled. "The Prometheus could have fought its way through your fleet, but what would that achieve? Violence might win a battle, but it never truly wins peace." Blue had been quiet for a while, but now he spoke up. "The broadcasts we intercepted, we only focused on the violent ones because we were afraid. We never looked for anything else." He paused, his scales showing embarrassment. "What else have we missed?" Stone's smile widened as he changed the hologram again. Now it showed human music performances, dance recitals, athletic competitions, and scientific achievements. "We'd be happy to share our full culture with you, not just the action movies, but everything. Our art, our music, our science, our dreams." The alien leaders watched in fascination as centuries of human culture played out before them. They saw ballets performed in zero gravity, paintings created in underwater studios, symphonies played with instruments they couldn't even begin to understand. "Your species," Green said slowly, "turned the very things that should have killed you into sources of creativity and innovation. You don't just survive your death world, you celebrate it." "And now," Stone added, "we want to celebrate with others, to learn about your culture, your art, your science, to share knowledge and grow together." He turned off the hologram and gestured to the tea set still on the table. "That's why we started with tea. It's not just a drink, it's a symbol of taking time to understand each other." Blue's scales settled into a calm, deep blue. "I think we severely misunderstood humans," he admitted. "We saw the strength, the resilience, the ability to survive, and we assumed it could only mean one thing. But it means something far more interesting. Stone nodded. It means we're ready to be part of something bigger than ourselves. The question is, are you ready to take that journey with us? The answer was written in the changing colors of the alien scales, in the way they leaned forward with interest, in their growing understanding that they had found not an enemy, but something far more valuable, a species that had transformed survival into art and strength into wisdom. The news spread quickly through the collective's worlds. The emergency broadcasts that had once warned of a human warship now carried a very different message. Humanity had come in peace, and the collective had found new allies among the stars. In the observation post where it all began, First Scout Red watched his screens with a completely different perspective. The human ship no longer appeared as a threat on his displays, but as a symbol of change. His sensors tracked numerous small shuttlecraft moving between the Prometheus and the collected ships, carrying diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts eager to learn from each other. On the Prometheus's main observation deck, Captain Stone stood with Admiral Blue and Second Shield Green, watching the stars through the large viewing window. The alien leaders had removed their environmental suits after their scientists confirmed the human atmosphere wouldn't harm them. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes about the growing trust between their species. Your council has approved the diplomatic exchange program, Stone asked, though he already knew the answer from their earlier discussions. Blue's scales rippled with pleased colors. Yes, we're establishing a permanent diplomatic post at the observation station. It seems fitting. The place where we first detected your arrival will become the bridge between our civilizations. Green could barely contain his excitement, his scales shifting through bright patterns. The scientific possibilities alone are extraordinary. Your adaptation to extreme environments, your technological innovations, there's so much we can learn from each other. Stone smiled, remembering how just a few days ago, these same aliens had been ready to fight what they thought was an invasion force. And we have much to learn from you as well. Your crystal-based technology, your unique biology, your cultural perspectives, humanity will be enriched by this exchange. A small shuttlecraft passed by the window, carrying Commander White back to his ship. After the incident, he had requested a meeting with Stone and Blue. To everyone's surprise, he had apologized, admitting that his fear had clouded his judgment. Now he would be returning to the collective's capital to help prepare their people for increased contact with humans. It's strange, Blue mused, watching the shuttle. We thought we needed to defend against you, but you've actually made us stronger by showing us a different way to view strength. Stone nodded. Sometimes the strongest walls aren't the ones we build to keep others out, but the bridges we build to let them in. Red's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, the first group of cultural exchange officers is ready to board. And Captain Stone, Earth Command has acknowledged your success. They're preparing to send diplomatic ships to follow up on your first contact. Just diplomatic ships? Blue asked, a hint of humor in his voice. Stone laughed. Well, perhaps a few science vessels too. We did promise to show you how humans do deep space research. Green's scales turned a bright shade of interest. Will they send more of these tea sets? The concept of sharing drinks while discussing important matters is fascinating. I'm sure they will, Stone replied, along with many other aspects of human culture, and we look forward to learning your customs as well. Through the window, they could see the crystalline ships of the collective's fleet now positioned alongside the Prometheus in a peaceful formation. The sight of the different vessels together, the metallic human ship among the crystal alien crafts, painted a picture of the future they were building. You know, Blue said thoughtfully, when we first detected your ship, our emergency broadcast warned everyone about a human warship entering our sector. Now we know the truth. It wasn't a warship coming to fight us. It was a bridge coming to connect us. Stone placed a hand on the window, looking out at the vast expanse of space before them. The universe is too magnificent to explore alone, and too dangerous to waste time fighting when we could be working together. As they stood there, a new message began broadcasting across all frequencies, replacing the old emergency warning. Its words were simple but powerful. Attention all ships. You are entering a zone of peaceful cooperation between the collective and humanity. Welcome to a new era of shared discovery. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as two civilizations, born on vastly different worlds, took their first steps together into a shared future. Not as enemies who had avoided war, but as friends who had chosen peace.